Hey, my Liptons. Well, I know this was a long time coming for me to do this review. Okay. Um, so I want to come in here and do a film review of Bobby 1973. If y'all remember, I put up a poll stating that what film should I do first? Should I either do Nasib or should I do Bobby? And based on the polls, y'all chose Nasib first. So I already put the Nasib review up on my channel. By the way, if y'all want to watch that, this is my channel. Make sure y'all subscribe. But also, if y'all want to watch the Nasib review, go to my playlist. It's right here. Then go to Bollywood movies / DTV shows. Press that. Nasib is, I believe, well, I did do the Nasib. I need to run up the numbers on Nasib, my Liptons. We got to run it up. Yeah, most of y'all chose it, so let's run up those numbers. Of course, anything Bollywood talk is on this playlist. ZTV shows is on this playlist. Had a lot to say. Make sure y'all check it out. Make sure y'all subscribe to the channel. Let's get up to 1,000 subscribers. We are almost there. Thank y'all so much. And let's get into this video. So listen, I finished watching Bobby today. This might be a really long review because I definitely took a lot of notes. So Bobby was released in 1973. Bobby was a huge hit in the box office. It made stars out of Rishi Kapoor and it made a star out of Dimple Kapadia. But unfortunately, Dimple Kapadia wasn't able to really capitalize off of the success of Bobby due to her marriage to Rajesh Khanna, and which I'm definitely going to discuss towards the end of this video. And I'm going to discuss all that. So I already know how I do my Bollywood film reviews. I always discuss the films in the beginning, and then towards the end of the videos, I always discuss, what was going on around the time that they were filming the movie, and, what was going on around the time when the movie came out, what was some of the controversies, what was being said behind the scenes. So, and there was a lot that happened with Dimple Kapadia during the filming and after the filming of Bobby 1973. Of course, Rishi Kapoor, even though Rishi Kapoor has been in another film previously, but Bobby was really when he became like a star. So, and obviously his father, who is Raj Kapoor, is the one that directed this movie. So, yes. But I'm going to get to all that towards the end. I'm going to discuss the behind the scenes and everything that happened. But first, let's get into the film review and let's get into my review of the movie. So the movie starts off with Raja as a child. He sorry, give me 1 second. Yeah, so the film starts out with Raja as a child and his parents caring more about appearances than about him. Raja's father thinks that the responsibility of a any child's, either son or daughter's behavior is based on, it's on the mother's, that's the mother's responsibility, which I wrote here, that's complete BS, because I feel like at the end of the day, like, women do not have children by themselves. It takes two to tango, okay? It's not just their mother's responsibility to make sure that the child has good behavior or is emotionally stable. Like, that's also the father's responsibility too. So of course, there's gonna be a lot of that as this review goes on with these two parents. Like, both the mother and the father of Raja was just terrible. The mother, Raja, who is played by Rishi Kapoor in this movie, he's about to get sent away to boarding school because the father feels like his behavior is uncontrollable. And then there is this servant that basically raised Raja during his formative years. is, begging Raja's mother not to send him away. And by next thing you know, Raja's mother, and at first I kind of liked her, but then Raja's mother ends up like blaming the servant for spoiling Raja. And I wrote here, like, just when I was going to feel bad for the mother, here she goes blaming the servant. And then mind you, the servant ends up throwing a whole like tree at the mother, saying that, you didn't even breastfeed Raja, so don't come in here talking about some I spoiled Raja or whatever you're talking about. So and you can tell that the mother definitely felt offended by what the servant had to say. So that's how the film starts off, and then it fast forwards to Raja when he's 18 years old. He's in boarding school, but now I guess he's gonna return home after, I would say, what, 6 7, no, not 6 7 years, I think maybe 9 years or something like that he was in boarding school. And it's soon to be his 19th birthday. So Raja comes back home from boarding school, and immediately Raja feels alone due to his parents' priorities. His dad has to go do a business trip while his mother is, focusing on her social life and whatever. So Raja's birthday party, was getting planned out and everything. And Nima, who is a character in this, a side character in this movie, goes to look for Raja and everything like that. And then by the next thing you know, while Raja is getting dressed, I guess Nima didn't knock. She comes in, and by the next thing you know, we end up seeing Rishi Kapoor's, and I wrote in my note here that we end up seeing Rishi Kapoor's booty cheeks through the mirror, or through the guys, I don't know, through some reflection. And I wrote here that this goes back to Raj Kapoor's boldness during that time. Raj Kapoor really, even though like I do tend to give credit where credit is due, because Raj Kapoor definitely pushed the envelope in a lot of things. But there are other times where I do feel like Raj Kapoor, sometimes some of the things that he does, it feels so unnecessary to do, or it feels like for shock value. I would say this though, the booty cheek part with Rishi Kapoor's booty cheeks, I was like, I thought it was funny. It was definitely funny, and the character Nima thought it was funny too. But there's another scene in this movie where I didn't understand the direction when it came to Raj Kapoor's, and I'm gonna get to that. And this is where, like, sometimes it's like, while I appreciate Raj Kapoor's boldness, it can sometimes lead to like some like sexual deviant stuff. And I'm gonna talk about that because there's a scene in this movie, later on in this movie, where I just felt like I didn't understand why it was put there. So I'm gonna get to it. Raja, so Nima ends up running out and laughing after she sees Raja's booty cheeks. So then Raja gets dressed, and then he comes out, and then he's by next thing here comes Bobby along with the servant that took care of Raja. So the servant, who she is the grandmother of Bobby, and mind you, Bobby is played by Dimple Kapadia. So he sees her, through the doorway, and he's already mesmerized by her. Yeah, so Bobby's is the grandchild of the servant that took care of Raja. And then after that, and mind you, the maid, the servant, the grandmother ended up bringing a cake for Raja, and then Raja's mother was just so very dismissive and was like, oh, telling another servant to take the cake, and I don't want to be bothered by this maid that no longer works for me. So I was just like, okay, whatever, Raja's mother, you're just whatever. And then by next thing here comes the first song that it's actually my favorite song from this whole movie, and it's probably the only song I'm going to talk about. Mishael do nahi. I love that song, and I actually love the slow verb version of that song. So if y'all need to y'all should definitely go listen to that. Mishael do nahi, I'm not a poet. That's the translation of it in English. So I love that sequence. I love when Nima was doing her dances. Rishi Kapoor. So Rishi Kapoor, I never really like looked at him like that, but Rishi Kapoor was really like when he was younger, he was very attractive. So he was very attractive during this whole sequence. So okay, so after this song, next scene, Bobby goes to meet. No, sorry. Oh no. Raja then goes to the servant that raised him, goes to her house to go and go say thank you to her and go to meet her and greet her, and the door was answered by Bobby. And yeah, the door was answered by Bobby, and Bobby was just there in front of the door with paste in her hand. So just quick FYI, for this scene where Raja goes to knock on the door and Bobby opens the door, Raj Kapoor explains that in that scene was actually inspired by him and Nargisdutt's first meeting. If y'all don't know who Nargisdutt is, Nargisdutt was also a actress. She has passed on. She's no longer alive, but and she's also the mother of Sanjay Dutt. Raj Kapoor actually had a public affair with Nargisdutt. If y'all don't know who Nargisdutt is, her. She's done a couple of films with Raj Kapoor during the late 40s and early 50s. And Raj Kapoor had a public affair with Nargis while he was married with children. Okay, so they were actually dating like late 40s, early 50s. Apparently the affair lasted for a couple of years, and he was 22 years old when he first met her, and she was 16 years old. Okay, so do with that information what y'all will. Raj Kapoor was, doing his dirty dog deeds even back then, okay? But that honestly, the Raj Kapoor and Nargis conversation is for a different video for another day, okay? I might touch on it maybe another time. So yes, so that scene where Bobby, when Raja goes to meets Bobby for the first time face to face, have a first conversation, that scene was inspired by Nargisdutt and Raj Kapoor's first meeting with her and their affair and everything like that. So yeah. So back to the movie. So Raja finds out through Bobby that he was sent away to boarding school as punishment from his parents. So Raja wants to, so Raja is, feeling some type of way about that. So let's just fast forward. Raja's, he likes Bobby. He's flirting with her, wants to get her attention, wants to spend time with her. And he also admits that he has feelings for Bobby. Bobby and Raja are being all lovey-dovey with each other now that Raja has admitted his feelings for Bobby. Raja, yes, so now I guess you can kind of say that Bobby's family knows about Raja, but it's just Raja's family that doesn't really know too much about Bobby. So Raja wants to come and take Bobby out on a date. There's a scene where Raja comes to Bobby's house to take her on a date, and I wrote here, I don't know what that wig is, because Bobby had a wig on, and I discussed this on a previous video. I don't know why they were putting wigs on these actresses in the 70s and early 80s. Like I don't understand it. I talked about this during like any film I did about Hema Malini, like Sito Orgita, Shole. I said it then. I said it for her too. I was like, I don't understand why they were putting on wigs on these women as if they didn't have hair. Like I just don't understand. I was not feeling that wig that she had on with that red dress. It was throwing me off. So Raja takes Bobby out to a date. He takes her to a party. Bobby feels uncomfortable at the party. So then that's when Nima shows up again, and she's kind of throwing herself at Raja. And she tells Raja, oh, come to this room, come and see what's going on here. So then there's this guy, this weirdo at the party that, makes Bobby feel like extremely uncomfortable. The guy, is telling Bobby, hey, like, let's, you trying to drink a Coca-Cola, how about you drink some champagne and blah, 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 blah. And Bobby's like, listen, get the hell out of my face. Like, I don't want you move. And then the guy's like, oh, you acting all whatever, but like your date, the one that you came with, Raja, is over there in the bedroom with Nima. And then Bobby was like, listen, I don't believe you. So then he pulls Bobby to the room to show her that, to basically just misconstruing the whole situation that Raja's messing with Nima. But if you go to the next scene, basically Raja is telling Nima, oh my God, like I'm in love with Bobby. I want to marry Bobby. I want to do this with Bobby. I want to do that with Bobby. But Bobby ends up hearing the part where like he says, oh, I want to marry you. I'm in love with you. But he was talking about Bobby, but the way Bobby heard it, it made it seem as if he was saying it to Nima. So then Bobby felt very heartbroken by hearing that. And I also wrote here that Nima was delusional. Because I'm like, girl, like you haven't been hanging out with Bobby at all, apart from that party. And it's like, you think that he was out here talking about admitting to marry you and stuff like that when y'all barely hung out with each other. I was just like, well. So then the guy then pulls Bobby out of the room and tries to assault Bobby. Raja then comes to save her. Raja comes to save her, but then Bobby ends up escaping the party and goes home. And because she, Bobby thinks that Raja betrayed her, that he was cheating on her. But Raja is not understanding like why Bobby's so angry. Bobby ends up, packing her bags and leaving for Kashmir. Raja then goes after her. He ends up boarding a train, the same train that she's on. He ends up boarding that train. Raja ends up following Bobby. He's low-key stalking her, no shade. Like, the more I think about it, the more I'm like... the more I think about it, the more I'm like, low-key, Raja was, like, kind of, like, stalking Bobby. But then, Raja obviously corrects the misunderstanding with Bobby, and Bobby ends up forgiving Raja. Raja's parents argue over their bad... And this is my notes. I said, Raja's parents argue over their bad parental skills, because I'm just like, y'all are over here arguing about Raja, and oh, where's Raja? Where's this? Where's that? And it's like, y'all not going to know where Raja is, because y'all are so busy doing whatever y'all doing. Y'all son just came back from boarding school, and y'all already just... It's vibes with y'all. Y'all want to be living your best lives and not focusing on your kid. And this is the part where I want to circle back. I want to circle back to Raj Kapoor. Because this is the part where I was talking about his sexual deviancy. So there's a part here where Raja's parents, the actors, were arguing over each other about, over Raja. But next thing you know, Raja's mother, her dupatta, because the dad says something. And then I guess in that moment, the mother felt offended by what he said. And then her dupatta, the cloth that covers the chest and stomach of the woman, it ends up coming off, or like randomly, like the dupatta ends up coming off, and then her chest is exposed. Not to say like her bare breast was just out, but like I'm just saying like her chest, like her boobs were like up and sitting, and like it was just exposed. So then I was just like, I don't see why that was added in other than to show that the mother had big boobs. Like, and this is what I be saying sometimes with Raj Kapoor, and it's no shade. I might have to do like a single... I mean, then again, I've briefly talked about him and his like this weirdness thing with him and with some of his female actors and the way he be... Because I discussed it, I think in Sangam, was it? I believe it was in the Sangam review or something that I did. I briefly talked about how oh no, it was like Satyan Shivam Sundaram. I kind of defended that film because I feel like I understood why it was directed in the way it was, but at the same time, I also saw where people had an issue with it, and especially coming from Raj Kapoor's end. You know, Raj Kapoor has some sexual deviancy with him. And there's no shade. And I get it, he's dead, and I shouldn't be saying these things, but it's like, girl, like, it's just like, that scene with Raja's mother, it was just, it was so unnecessary. Like, why did her dupatta have to come off? Or why did her the cover that covers her chest and stomach had to come off and at that scene? It made absolutely no sense whatsoever. It was honestly, if I'm gonna be honest, it was just to show that she had big boobs. And I guess Raj Kapoor wanted the art because he clearly he saw that and he wanted us to see it too. He clearly got off on it. So I don't know. God, Raj Kapoor is something like I might have to do a single video. Like, we gonna have to pinpoint some of his like his you know, just some of his behavior in some of these films, because it's just like, you know. Okay. So next scene, Bobby's family introduces themselves to Raja's family because Raja's father wants to see the family. And I also wrote here, Bobby's clearly embarrassed by her father, which I understand too, because Bobby's father is a whole mess. Like the pants, the way he doesn't know how to button up his pants, the drinking, it's too much. And I also wrote here that Bobby's father is very obnoxious. And Raja's father doesn't want, you know, Bobby and Raja to be together. Of course, obviously, you know, Raja's father is very, like, you know, stereotypical, like, rich guy that doesn't want a poor girl or poor, you know, someone poor to marry into the family, which obviously, you know, is very stereotypical, but it's also like, you know, he's clearly is being portrayed as the antagonist, but it's also like, I can kind of see too where he's coming from, because Bobby's dad is a mess. Like, the way he was carrying himself throughout this whole film was just like, if I had a son, I also wouldn't want my son to be marrying his daughter. Okay, so I wrote that. So, you know, Raja's dad, I mean, Raja's dad was just going off. He was just like, you know, to Bobby's father, oh, your daughter's a slut. She's out here, you know, using her charm on my son. You know, at the end of the day, what may come, I don't want them being together, basically. So Bobby's father was very insulted by that. So Bobby's like, listen, like, I'm gonna go marry, I'm gonna go do the, and then I guess the mom was like, oh, you know, you can't get married. You're still a minor. I guess the law is that he needs to turn 21 in order to get married or to do whatever. So I guess Roger's now waiting to turn 21 years old to marry Bobby. So behind Roger's back, Roger's father tries to arrange a marriage for Bobby so that Bobby can Roger's father tries to arrange a marriage for Raja so that he can forget about Bobby. Nima, you know, obviously finds this out and tries to go and, you know, warn Raja, like, you know, run away. You know, they try to, Raja's dad tries to set him up with some, like, I don't know, I guess you could say, like, she's like mentally immature kind of girl, and Raja was just like really pissed off. So he ends up running away to Goa because Bobby's dad ends up sending her and the grandmother to Goa. Yeah, so then Raja ends up running away too, and his parents are pissed off about that. So Raja runs away to Goa to be with Bobby. And I wrote, and I highlighted in this scene that Dimple Kapadia and Rishi Kapoor were acting their asses off in this scene where Raja comes and he, you know, is talking to the grandmother, and then Bobby comes down and, you know, she's trying to be with him, and then the grandmother ends up stopping him. That whole scene was just great acting on both Dimple, especially for Dimple, because especially this was her first film, so I thought she acted really good in that scene. Like I thought her acting skills were really good. Bobby's father says, so then Raj's dad ends up going to Bobby's father's house, and Raj's dad is like, oh, my son ran away from home, and most likely he's with your slut daughter. If I find, what and he got the police involved and everything. And then by next, Bobby's dad is like, that he'll kill Bobby if Raja is with her. And I was just like, and I highlighted here, I was like, I don't understand why you're trying to kill Bobby as if Raja isn't the one that ran away to Goa to go be with your daughter. Shouldn't you want to kill Raja instead of your daughter? Like, oh my God, it's so backwards sometimes. Raja was, so basically the grandmother ended up, tricking Raja into being in a different room, and also getting Bobby in a different room, so that like by the time Raja's dad comes, that he can take Raja with him. So, but Raja ends up escaping and getting to Bobby's room, and then Raja was able to run away with Bobby. I wrote here too, like, this is low-key giving me like star-crossed lovers, like Romeo and Juliet tease. That's what I wrote here. Like I felt like, okay, two families that hate each other, that don't want to, don't like each other, and but the son and the daughter love each other. Like it gave me like Romeo and Juliet. This film kind of gave me Romeo and Juliet a little bit. Raja's dad ends up putting a bounty out for Raja in the newspaper, because Bobby and Raja end up running away. So then, Raja ends up encountering like some people that found out about the bounty. So they're like fighting and fighting. Bobby's dad, Raja's dad end up coming. They end up fighting the men that are, trying to kidnap their children. Raja and Bobby end up getting away. But the next, this part I completely did not understand. So Raja tells Bobby, oh, remember we said in sickness and in health and blah, blah, instead death and blah, blah. So I don't even want to say like Bobby agreed to this, but like he low-key like coerced her into jumping into like the like, what is it, like a beach water or ocean or lake or something. He ends up like coerced, like I guess not even coerced, like pressuring her into jumping. And I'm like, and then the father, like, and he's like, y'all don't want us to be together. Y'all don't, and like, it's like literally Bobby's just going along with it. And he's like, oh, well, now that y'all don't want us to be, and mind you, the fathers now, like, when they see like they're about to jump off that cliff, both fathers are like, oh no, don't do it. Oh my God, da da da. And in that moment, I'm like, okay, Bobby, Raja, I think you can stop now. But no, he ends up taking Bobby down with him. They end up jumping over that cliff into the water, and then the fathers end up following. So Raja's dad and Bobby's dad end up jumping into the water too to go and save those knuckleheads. And what I wrote here, I was just like, this is so stupid. That's what I wrote at the end. That whole end scene was so stupid. I was just like they end up, so basically Raja's dad ends up saving Bobby, and Bobby's dad ends up saving Raja. They're both fathers are just like, oh my God, they're alive, oh my God. And then Raja's dad is like, oh, to Bobby, oh, now I understand. Now I understand why I need to be more understanding. I need to accept you now. You are my daughter. Da, da, da. And I'm like, it took them about to commit suicide for you. Anyway, they both accept the match. And I wrote literally, all four of them, both fathers of Bobby and Raja, end up skipping into the sunset. And that's basically how the film ends. So, overall, I liked everything, but that ending was I was just like, oh my gosh. I was just like, this is so crazy. I think it would have, I don't know if it would have been anticlimactic if they just would have committed the suicide. I think maybe that would have been better, because I think it would have added to the whole Romeo and Juliet, like star-crossed lovers, feel that it was giving towards the end of the movies. But, I guess, sometimes, movies want to have their happy endings, which is understandable. Um, so like I said, this film did extremely well at the box office back in 1973. It literally launched Rishi Kapoor to superstardom, literally. And the reason why I say Rishi Kapoor was launched into superstardom because Dimple Kapadia wasn't able to really capitalize off of that because, well, one, let me talk about Rishi Kapoor's comments about Bobby because he did an interview before. By the way, Rishi Kapoor did pass away of cancer, which is very unfortunate. He passed away a few years ago, but he stated that, at the time when Bobby was supposed to get made, I think Rajesh Khanna, Sharmila Tagore, Mumtaz wanted to work with Raj Kapoor because Raj Kapoor was such a huge, that he not only was he a huge actor, but he was a huge director. But Raj Kapoor wanted new faces for his movie, not established stars. So he wanted, like a next generation of actors and actresses to work on his Bobby film. And also, Rishi Kapoor, and at this point I guess it was publicly known that, Bobby, the film Bobby was a bailout for Raj Kapoor because, he was going through some financial issues. And, he was putting all of his money into his films. Like Raj Kapoor had no like big studios helping him out. Like it was his own studio that he built. Like he had to basically do everything on his own when it comes to putting money into his films. So, and I think before Bobby, I think, what was it, Medanam Joker or something like that? That film did so bad to the point where Raj Kapoor lost a lot of money. So he needed like a directorial hit. So when Bobby did very well at the box office, it was a huge thing for him. So it wasn't, I guess you could say, yes, it was meant to launch his son, Rishi, but it was also meant to bail him out from like some of the debt or mortgage issues that he was going through. So when Bobby did extremely well in the box office, it was a great thing for Raj Kapoor. Also, Rishi Kapoor stated that initially Neetu Singh, no, not Rishi Kapoor. Somebody, I read something that Neetu Singh, who was the wife of Rishi Kapoor, was considered to play Bobby in the movie, but Raj Kapoor felt like Neetu was already an established actor because she started when she was a child. But we're also gonna be honest here too. The reason why Dimple Kapadia got this role is because Raj Kapoor was friends with her dad. Okay, he was friends with her dad and was like, okay, let me bring your daughter into my film. So he had her cast and he casted her. So it's not like Dimple Kapadia had it hard out here. Like she really struggled to get into this industry because she did. Let's get into the tea. So Dimple Kapadia, if y'all don't know, the girl that played Bobby. So, she got married before this film came out. So like she got married before this film came out. She's from I guess you could say she was from like a good either middle class or rich family. So she was filming this film. By next thing you know, she meets Rajesh Khanna. Okay, if I don't know what Rajesh Khanna is, Rajesh Khanna was one of the biggest superstars of Bollywood, even before Amitabhbachchan. Like, y'all need to go do your research on Rajesh Khanna. If y'all don't, at this point, I don't know what y'all doing if y'all don't know him already, but like, he was a huge star. Like, before Amitabh Bachchan, like, Raj Khanna was that guy in Bollywood. Okay? So she ends up meeting Rajesh Khanna during the filming of, I think during the film or before the filming, I'm not sure, of Bobby. Now, The film was, like I said here, the film was a success. But the credit went to Raj Kapoor because at the time, Dimple Kapadia got married. And I wrote here, and it's Dimple Kapadia and Rajesh Khanna. I wrote here that they shouldn't have never, ever, ever, ever got married. This should never happened. Because let's just state the obvious here. Dimple Kapadia got married when she was 16 years old, and Rajesh Khanna was 31 years old. Okay, he was 31 years old. He was a full adult when he met her. They met at like a flight or something. Like he, saw her, thought she was a nice girl, and she was kind of, and then literally after like 1 week of knowing each other, he ends up proposing to her. And I guess her parents agreed to the match. So, she gets married when she's a teenager, and he's literally a child, and he's an adult, a full star. Mind you, he's at the peak of his stardom during this time. They meet, and the reason why Raj Kapoor got more of the credit for the success of Bobby is because, like, literally, I don't even think that she really promoted the film. It was like once she got married, once she was done filming, she ended up becoming a wife, housewife, mother. Like it was back to back to back to back. So, and plus after that, she didn't act after she got married. Like she, let's just be honest here. Like the fact that like, and obviously, cultural reasons. I'm someone, my parents are from the East as well. So it's like, I understand like, child, a young girl, a teenager, a child getting married, unfortunately is not that uncommon when it comes to, these kinds of things like Eastern cultures, because even for me it's the same thing in my culture. Now, I don't think it's happening as much now as it used to be, but back in the 70s, I'm not surprised that like a 16-year-old was getting married to like a full adult man. However, just because it was okay, it was the norm, doesn't mean it was right. Okay, Rakesh Khanna had absolutely no business marrying a 16-year-old girl. What what do you have in common with a 16-year-old at 31 years old? What do you have in common? And and mind you, it was a huge wedding. All the celebrities were there. So it's like nobody said anything. Like nobody was just like, hey, like, you with a 16-year-old. That's how much it was the norm back then for a 16-year-old to get married to a 31-year-old. Like everybody was at that wedding. Raj Kapoor, Dilipkumar, everybody. So that was crazy. And I also wrote here that for me personally, the more that I read about it, this marriage, honestly, on the end of Rajesh Kapoor, I mean, oh my God, Rajesh Khanna, on his end, it was more so for PR. If I'm gonna be honest with you, I think that for Rajesh Khanna, he was at the peak of his career. He was a huge star. He did it for the PR. For the sake of PR, he just did it just to be in the news, like to be talked about, really. And for her, I think that her being a naive child, she was infatuated with this superstar of an actor that she wasn't really able to see the man. But that's what happens. But like it says here, Dimple ended her acting career for when she first got married, became a housewife and a mother. This is Dimple's exact quote here. She said, the marriage was certainly not based on equality, okay? And what she means by that is like, the marriage was, filled with infidelity. If y'all need to go look at Rakesh Khanna's like, during the time when he was just like at the height of fame, like the women, the thing, like when he was at the height of, y'all need to like the women were like putting lipstick on his car, kissing his car. Like, he had a huge female fan base. And I'm going to touch on all of this when I do my Rajkapoor film reviews. I already watched Amra Prem. I just want to watch Aradhana. I'm going to put those reviews up. But I'm definitely going to discuss more about Rajkapoor and during that time for him. But he had a huge following. He was just, if not probably the most famous man in Bollywood during that time. So, so of course, like, he even before Dimple, like, he was in a relationship with like a woman for like 7 years, never got married to her, but Dimple's the one he got. And that's also another thing too. I think another reason why he got married to Dimple is because she was a virgin. And I have to say it, but like, I feel like because she was a virgin too, it made better sense for him. He wanted someone, y'all know how it is. Yes. So he was, it was filled with infidelity. Like, he was just messing around in the marriage. They ended up getting estranged in 1982. She was just over it at that point. She had 2 daughters. They ended up separating, but they never got divorced. And I think another thing too with this situation is that I think Dimple had built up resentment towards Ragesh, her husband, because it's like, damn, like, I got married and you made me end my acting career to become a housewife, to become a mom, while I'm supposed to handle your temperamental irritation and all those behaviors that you go through while you were having your career failures, while also on top of that, you having affairs on me. So Dimple really went through especially after the separation of her and Rajesh Khanna, like, she went through a rebellious stage where she went back to acting, and then some of the roles that she was doing, I wrote here, and it's no shade, and I have to be honest, but like, I wrote here that Dimple Kapadia and Raj Kapoor, especially Raj Kapoor, planted the seeds to the over-sexualization of Bollywood today. I'm not saying it's completely on her per se, but if you look at some of the films that she was doing after 1982, the seeds were being planted. And if you look at some of the films that but then again, I feel like for her, the reason why she was doing it, and this is where I have to defend her, I feel like the reason why she was taking the roles that she did after the separation is because, it's like, damn, like, I wasted my youth. Not wasted, but like, it's like my youth was gone to like being a wife and a mother and staying home and, leaving my acting career. And it's like, I wasn't able to grow up really and live my life, as a teenager and enjoy the fruits of my labor of body. So it's like, okay, I'm on my rebellious stage. I need to go do what I wanted to. I'm going to go do things that I probably wouldn't have done, but now I can do it now because now I'm free. So it's like some of the roles that she was doing, I'm not going to lie to y'all, I was shocked to see like some of the sex scenes that Dimple Kapadia used to do after after the separation, that she would do in her movies. Some of the kissing scenes, I was shocked. I had no idea that this was happening, but like that she was doing those roles around the 80s and 90s. So she was on her rebellious stuff. Of course, you already know Raj Kapoor, but I do feel like a lot of those things like have planted the seeds to how Bollywood is today. Really, Bollywood is so over sexualized right now. You have no idea. And I think that, when you look back at some of the roles that Dimple Kapadia did post separation, it's like, those seeds were planted. But yeah, of course, Dimple Kapadia and Rajesh Khanna ended up, they stayed married until his death in 2012. But they were separated after 1982. They never got back together. As far as like, you know, she was a wife in name only, basically. Like I'll say this too. After her separation in 1982, there were rumors, I'm gonna say allegedly, that she was messing around with Sonny Deol, and that is a whole different conversation because he was married too. So it's like that is a whole different conversation. But Rajkapoor was doing his own thing. But Dimple Kapadia, I feel like she was on her like, I'm gonna live a life that I was supposed to live at, when I was 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. Like I'm gonna live that life. So, but yes. Yeah, like I said, she absolutely no business getting married. He should have known better. He should have, like, it should have never been a thing for this to happen. But, at the end of the day, she got her kids from this marriage. So, but yes. But like I said before, I think that while I do enjoy this film of Bobby, I will say this again, I feel like Raj Kapoor did plant the seeds, for the oversexualization of Bollywood. Like now that, like, when, and I don't get me wrong, like it's like, I do think that, it's still very much story based. But when you think of Satyan Shivan Sundaram, when you think of what else? Not Sangam, because I feel like Sangam wasn't as overly sexual. It wasn't, no. But when even that film that he did with one of his sons, I'm forgetting the film's name, but like even in that film, like the girl showed her breast. Raj Kapoor definitely planted the seeds. He planted the seeds, and now Bollywood is at its worst in 2024. His films were great. Raj Kapoor's films were great, but 2024, if he were to see how Bollywood will turn out to be in 2024, trust and believe, I think that there would have been some of the little, stunts that he would have pulled in his films. I think he would have definitely changed that. So, but yeah, but yes, my Liptons, that is all I have for today. That is my review of Bobby. Please tell me what you guys think in the comment section below. Do you guys feel like Raj Kapoor and Dimple Kapadia planted the seeds to the oversexualization of Hindi films today? How do you guys feel about the film Bobby? How do you guys feel about, me continuing doing these film reviews? Tell me what you guys think in the comment section below. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Let's get up to 1,000 subscribers, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.